Hello, it's Eric of Herb Arts. I'm going to let people gather. I'm going to see if my tea is cool enough to drink. I'm drinking some organic Colorado breakfast tea that I got in Fort Collins when I was in Fort Collins in the summer. One of the days, Teddy and I went out and visited a couple of different tea shops in Fort Collins. And I came back with, I had I think it's called a maybe it's a Colorado Rocky Mountain breakfast tea. I think that's what it's called. Which, of course, I was in Colorado for the first time other than driving through. And so, I, of course, had to get some. Unfortunately, I can also tell that earlier yesterday, I'm one of these people that, I use the mug for several days. I just give it a good rinse because it's tea. And the water's pretty much boiling when I put it in. But I have, also from Colorado, we went to two tea shops. One was very sort of formal Chinese, sort of Asian style, and the other was very funky. And at the funky one, I got a Kheer rice pudding chai, which smells and tastes like rice pudding. And there's a particular herb that's actually called the rice pudding herb that's the English translation. I have no idea what it's called in Chinese. And unfortunately the oils from it get into the mug a little bit. So, I do have this sort of aftertaste of it. But it's quite pleasant. I also learned that I have to use the stainless steel strainers for that one. These are all loose leaf. Because if I use the plastic ones absorb the oil. That's good. Yes, but I'm still a little whatever. It was something in my chest, and so I think I've held it off, but I'm still sort of exhausted and so forth. So that's why I've been running sort of a little late the last couple days. But as Becky earlier suggested, I should have some lemon with honey tea, which I actually did have. Sorry, not lemon, ginger with honey tea, which I did have earlier today, but I will have more later. Because that doesn't have caffeine in it. Because I'm almost at the end of the period. I can drink caffeine usually up until 5 or 6. But okay, so today I got this U.S. Targhee. That's from Zephyr Creek Farm. And the other half was a darker green, so I broke it in half. This is the basis that I used to make that Atlantis bat that I was showing off last week. So we're going to use this as a base, but we're going to add some different things to it. I've got bamboo in this, it's called malachite, okay, which goes really, it's like a darker tone of that. That works really nice. And I really, I like some contrast, so I am going to put some purple in. It's not the orchid purple, it's the other purple. Might be anemone, I don't know, I can't say that word. I also pulled out the Rami, which is a bast fiber. This is a light blue, it's from a cellulose pack that I got from Flannel Cakes Fiber, so we're going to add that in. And then I just sort of wanted to go to town. I want to continue to try to use up the last of the mulberry silk noil. But then as contrast, I thought, I always like it when there's a pop of dark. And so we're going to use some of this. I just got to get everything to stay where it's staying. Okay. So I have this big bag of stuff that I got from the Woolery a long time ago. It's merino, but it's like merino waste. You can see it's very noily like. It's not as nubby as a lot of oil, but it is very, very short. And I'm sure it was intended for felting, but it's very soft. So we're going to put it in the back. In fact, and I've got a big bag of brown too. So let's get started. So yes, the invoice, the sale this weekend was quite good. I had 36 bats, and I have 10 left. So that's a good proportion, and I haven't even put the album up yet. The 10 items will go in the album later today. I'll get that up. A couple of pairs left. I've got the Marion Bright left, and I've got the Frozen Love, which I didn't on the photo where I marked pairs. I actually didn't write Frozen Love as a pair because they weren't next to each other. One was on the back rack, and the other was hanging off the side because it's that smaller little, cute little one. Okay, so I'm just keeping an eye on my cup to make sure it doesn't fall over because that's the kind of day it is. Squeak, squeak, squeak goes Sebastian. Yeah, so other exciting news, I found out about I have these two little things I'm going to try and use up first. Found out about a new show. In fact, I got sort of, what do they call what's an email? With a phone call, they cold call you. Is it called the same thing with an email? Because I got cold emailed. I'm sure the person was working off of a show list from somewhere. Probably the Michigan Fiber Festival, because there is a new festival in Michigan starting this year, and it is in the UP, Upper Peninsula. And it's the part of the UP that's like really much closer to Wisconsin. It's not like at the Wisconsin border, but it's still there. And I'm going to say it wrong because I want to say Ecbatana, but Ecbatana is a place in the Middle East that I taught in history classes. But Escoban, it's right on the water. Might be Escoban. And there's a fairground. That's where the UP fairgrounds are. And I'll admit I've only been to the UP once in my life. Well, I think when I was a child, we may have driven through it. Because I know at one point we went to Chicago via Canada. And so I suspect that involved that border. But I was so young, I don't remember. What I remember is the space capsule in the Ontario Science Museum. That's what I remember. Okay, so let's find the end of this. This is the Rainy, which has a fairly long staple. Yeah, it's a long staple. So we won't use a lot of it. We'll just sort of see how it goes on. There we go. Anyway, so it is they had a long sort of explanatory email when they sent me, but it was essentially they're trying to replicate not an American Fiber Festival, but a UK sheep show. Okay. Because, in Britain, they have all these sheep shows with sheepdog trials. Think Babe. Okay? And so forth. And they're particularly, it's for sheep that either were directly imported from the UK or were imported at some point in their history, and obviously they've been bred in the US. And it's specifically for hill sheep. So UK hill sheep. So it's the North American Hill Sheep Show is what they're calling it. And I sort of, I looked at so what they had up, and I like sheep. They had more information up about the sheep than they did about the vendor stuff. But it looks intriguing enough, and I can just drive through Wisconsin to get there. I mean, it's still 7 hours away, but still, though I need to find out what time zone the UP is in. I would hope that it would be in Central, but I always hate when I lose an hour driving east. I actually like that with both the black and the white on there. I think that works out really well. Let me tip you just a little bit more. My gooseneck was being a little problematic earlier. Yeah, I kind of like that. Okay, so let's keep adding. So I'm looking into doing that one. That one's at the end of September, so it doesn't mean I would miss the Waffle show. But it's a 3-day show, so it's sort of worthwhile. There is camping up there if I feel like it, and there's all sorts of other places to stay. might be kind of nice. It's the weekend after the North Country Flower Fair, which I'm also planning to apply to. I haven't done it yet, but they just opened the application like middle of this month, so. But that would give me two shows for September, and I'm happy with that. There we go. I was really in far here, so I was trying to make sure I had more out there. Yeah, so got that maybe Thursday or something. And I from their Facebook page, it looks like people are already signing up, so I'm happy about that. The discussion I had with the, because it's the first time they're doing this, so they said if you have questions, please write in and ask them. And so, this is Malachite, Ashland Bay Bamboo, which means they're not going to have it anymore because Ashland Bay went under or out of business or whatever. Not sure what the proper terminology is, but anyway, so I wanted to get a sense, sense if she knew what kind of, is this the type of show where, it's going to be like Michigan where everyone's looking for yarn and roving and, fleeces from the sheep, or is it going to be something like the Pagora show that I did, where all the people that had the sheep came for the the sheep judging and stuff like that, but like they didn't shop, or they didn't, and because the Pagora show was quite small, it didn't draw a lot of people other than the people showing sheep and like their friends. Where this is already clear, they're advertising locally to get, the local public to come, and watch the sheepdog trials, but also to shop and stuff like that. So, she suggested having, bringing, yarn and roving, or in my case, bats, right? But having lots of finished items as well. Just trying to sort of couch it to the public as, come watch the sheep and go shopping for early Christmas presents and stuff like that. So, I'm going to give it a try. See how it goes. Definitely don't want this on a clamp. Let's see what other fun things have been going on. I'm trying to figure out the last of my booth setup for, this year. I've got all the new panels and everything. If I sell most of the bats that I have that are going to go in the album, I may have enough to finally get, there's something kind of odd right there, so I'm looking for this. I think it's from the silk moil, but it could be something else. I think it's silk moil. We'll put it in there. Anyway, so I'm looking at buying just a couple more pieces for my display. Right now it's sort of set up so it's a U shape, and then I can flip it depending on which show I'm doing and where I want it. I have a 10th, so there's 3 on each side, so that's 9 panels. I have a 10th panel that I can then stick and make a little mini U that becomes the dressing room inside. And what I'd like to get is they actually have, right now I have this sort of thing where I've got these little hooks and I've got a little curtain rod or shower rod. And it's, it's a little cobbled together, right? The company actually sells a doorway that's the same size as my panel, so it would fit perfectly and I could run it through the curtain for the entranceway. But they also have a Just making sure I don't need anything else here. My panels are about 6 feet tall. I think they're just a little bit taller than that, but about 6 feet tall. And if I go and I hang my sign, even if it's my sign that's only 1 foot long, that eats up some valuable real estate where it can be put in hooks, right? And so they have panel extenders. I think they have like a foot, 18 inches, and 2 feet. And so what I would like to do is get just one panel extender that would go on the back, and there's 3 panels in the back, and so it would go in that middle panel, so it goes up higher, and I can hang my sign on that, and it doesn't really sort of interfere with anything else. But the problem is the way that these, excuse me, 1 second. Oh, the way the panels stick together is they have open holes at the top, and there's like a giant. It's like a giant bobby pin. Okay. That one side is flat and the other has sort of bumps on it, and it goes between the two. You know, one in this one side and this one on the other, and it holds them together, right? Well, if I'm doing that, I can't stick the extender in there. Right? Nor can I stick the bar for keeping the curtain rod, or the sort of curtain rod type thing. So I need to call them, because I think they actually, I can't tell from the photos, but they have what they call a special clip that is designed. These panels were originally designed for artists, so they're meant to hold like paintings and heavy glass frames and all that. But I think there's a clip that from the photo I think keeps the 2 open tubes free. And so if that is, I can get some of those, and that would just free up, I wouldn't have to use those bobby pins. And I could do the height extension and everything else. Well, this obviously wants to go on here, so we're just gonna put it on right now. Okay, so let's do purple first, because we got that here. And then, of course, I can't take the full setup till show until I get a new vehicle. But I took a little break last week from looking, but I've started looking around, and I'm going to probably up my searching very soon, because the weather forecast for like the next week and a half is like in the 30s and 40s. Which means I'm not going to have to try and drive, a test vehicle on, bad icy roads. Obviously, at some point I should try that. But when I'm taking it out for the first time, it's not an ideal start, right? So I'm thinking, and also a few of the ones that I'm thinking about looking at are not local. Some are an hour. One is actually up to 3 hours away. In another state. Because I'm a little leery of like buying something off Marketplace. I don't know enough about cars to do that and feel safe. Though it's local, my mechanic will look at it. But if something's 3 hours away, I can't get my mechanic to look at it. And so I'm trying to find things that are at dealerships that are, and then I look up the dealership to see if it's got a decent rep or if people are slamming it online and stuff like that. And in fact, I was happy to see that the dealership that was in Minnesota that I was looking at has on everything they sell, they have a 30-day warranty. as opposed to as is, which is what most other places are doing. So yeah, it's a possibility. So because my goal would be, it would be nice to have something by next month. Okay, not next month, March. I feel like I'm in February already. We're not in February quite yet. Okay. Do you like the black and the white? I quite do. Keep drinking some tea here. And actually, I'm going to step off camera real quick. Block your ears. Some of that congestion is finally making some movement. Okay, so this is what we got left. So it would be nice to have something bigger by my shows in March. My March is booked every single weekend. Well, I haven't applied for the Waffle Show yet. The application opened today, I think. Okay, there's more, some Noil there, but it looks very brown. It's very unappealing. I'm going to get rid of that one. So I am going to do a crazy March to make up for the fact that there really hasn't been, there's nothing in January and February other than Waffle. And it's nice to have a break and to do some hibernating and get sick and all that. I think that's pretty. Where's the purple? Oh, way down there. It's sank. Hello was all frisky a little while ago. She had been sleeping for hours, attached to the radiator or the space heater. She sticks her head right where the vent is and sticks her feet underneath, and I'm like, it's so warm in here. But she was like, as I went to grab my tea and bring it in here, she perked up and was like, oh, and then she was galloping around, and I'm like, go back to sleep. So she came in while I was setting up and checked everything out, and then I moved a little too many things around, and she was like, yeah, I'm not having this, I'm leaving. So I think she's asleep again somewhere. So on my list for February is, you may recall I got a number of tencel and some of that linen, dandelion, some of those cellulose fibers. And the waffle theme for February is, or the breed of the month, everything is bast fibers, so plant materials. And so I need to go scour those. I think I'm going to do them in not all at once because I suspect I would get my piles confused. So I'm going to do in a couple different shifts, scour a bunch of things, and then I can do some dyeing on those to see how those come out. I may not like how they turn out. We'll give it a shot. But what I'm planning on doing is trying to dye them like I dye the clothes. And see how that method, I'm actually planning on doing, normally I do them in a plastic bag. And I may try a few in a couple bags, but I've also got these ice cream tubs, these plastic ice cream tubs, that I think if I spiraled it, it might be kind of nice. I mean, I'm going to experiment. We'll see. But I may have a little bit of not wool yarn at the February sale. I also want to get back to having a bat bar. I did a bat bar for a while. I sort of ran out of ingredients and then just never restocked, which were essentially things that you can add into bats, right? I mean, you can use them for other things. You can use them in felting, which is actually a lot of people bought stuff for felting. So things like wool neps, sari silk, silk noil, combed rayon. I've got a line on some Firestar. The Firestar dyeing is with acid, and so I'm not sure about that yet. But so I really don't want to have to get another set of dyes. Now, if you have any questions, type them in, or comments, just type them in there. Can't see any comments at this point, but I suspect there are some. I just can't see them. I don't think this is going to become Atlantis 2. It's going to become, it's feeling very flowery to me. Okay, so I'm seeing some thicker bits. There we go there. So if you do have name suggestions, please put them in the comments. Just grabbed out of my hands. See a big clump right there. Don't need it quite that big. I like the sort of speckles. And that part we'll just reapply. So they're going to be quite soft. You're just vaguely going to feel them. They're going to have to be actually softer than the silk noil. The silk noil has more texture to it. I do have a comment. Hello. Oh, yep. That's fine. Just watch and zone with it. And, you know, someday I'm going to get a YouTube channel and just, like, put up all these, like, several minute videos of just the wheel going around. Okay, let's see how much we got left here. Okay, we can do 2 more layers. If we can fit 2 more layers on. I will be doing my WAFA demos Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Central. I can tell you that for the entire month of March, these Sunday demos are going to be only on Monday. Completely on Monday. Because if I have a show every weekend, you know, and most of them are like, they're either Iowa or Illinois. We're so squeaky! And they're only one-day shows. But I'm going to be driving back on Sundays. And, you know, the show in Macomb, I can get back before 3. But the show in Champaign? Yeah, no, that's not happening. And the first one in Iowa is my birthday weekend, and so I'm just going to stay an extra day at my friend's house, so maybe we can do brunch or something. So I just, for all of March, these will be on Monday. And I think this year I will take part of the summer off. Probably like mid-July to early August. Just because I've got like Convergence, actually I have to be there on a Wednesday. And I'm doing Front Range Fiber Arts Bash the last weekend in July, and that's once again out in Colorado, which is a 1 to 2 day driving trip, depending on how long I decide to, whether I want to drive 14 hours straight or not. And for this, I'm just holding it like this. And because the staple is so short, you can see I'm just getting these little flecks taken off. And I just had a big piece grab. So what part of it is the liquor that's pulling it out. But I can also go back and pull some of that off like that. And then apply it someplace else. Okay, one more white. Yeah, so I think for that part, I'm just gonna, it's nice to have a break now and then. I'm getting very full, like right in this section here. Tweak, tweak, tweak. I almost don't hear it that much anymore. Okay, so we got this left. Divide it in half. And most of it, because it's very full there in the center, I'm going to put it on the edges. Flattening it out a little bit so that way it's thinner, more likely to take up. And then I can always take my brush and push down. That makes room for it. I can still feel a little peak right there. This is something I was thinking about last night. I ended up not applying to the Estes Park Wool Market. I got overwhelmed by, you couldn't complete the application without doing the tax, having registered for the tax number, but it's set up oddly in the fact that because I'm not a Colorado business and I'm not going to do, like this is the only business I'm going to be doing in Colorado, you need a specific type of thing, register a certain particular way, and all the registrations cost money. I live in a state where it doesn't cost you to register for anything, right? You have to, registering your car costs money, but like, a lot of other stuff, it didn't cost me anything to get my tax ID number. This is the Rami again. And it turns out, at least from what I could tell, they want me to print something out and send it in. And at that point, I was too close to the deadline. So I may do it next year. I may not, because it may conflict next year with the Midwest Weavers Association. I'm going to be a little heavier with the black and white. I'm going to make a mess right here is what's going to happen. I'm going to be a little heavier because when I tease the bat out, this will spread out. Not that there's a lot of room to add anything in the center part. So grab this off there, put it on. But technically, I have Hoosier Hills the Friday and Saturday. The Saturday's like the 1st of June. And I drive home on Sunday. And I could just sort of like get home, do a load of laundry, take out my show stuff, and get in the car and, a couple days later, and drive to Colorado and go to Estes Park as a customer. Perhaps staying with some of the other waffle vendors in the area so I don't have to pay for housing. That, of course, is the expensive part. And just sort of go and check it out. Because I know a number of people who are vendors there. I just haven't gotten around to doing an application for it. Okay, last item to put on, and that is the silk noil. A little less messy than the black merino noil. A little more right at the edge over here. So I'm thinking about that. I haven't, I don't actually have to make any decisions on that for a while. The only thing I have in June right now is first day of June is the last day of Hoosier Hills, which is in Franklin, Indiana, just south of Indianapolis. And on the 22nd, I'm doing the Judy and Eileen retreat. I'm one of 6 vendors. I'm going to grab the scale here. And actually, I have to put something away really quick. How did I do that? Okay. In pulling out some of the bamboo, I have some towers of tubs over off camera here. And I have a tub of bamboo. And on that is my tub of bio-nylon. I've taken down the bio-nylon tub and put it on the blanket where I normally tease out my bats. And there's no place for the bats, so I do things. So I'm going to do the Judy and Eileen, and then there's a waffle sale at the end of the month. And then I don't have anything until Convergence, which is like the second weekend, maybe. Maybe it's the third weekend. It's the 11th to the 17th is Convergence, which is like midweek to midweek. But I need to bring a lot. It's like 3.5 days is the marketplace at Convergence. And so I need to bring a lot of stock. So I probably don't need to be going to Colorado for a festival. I should be staying home and making things, but I don't know. I just haven't been able to go to a festival that's like just going to a festival because I'm always a vendor. Estes Park does their festival. They have workshops Wednesday and Thursday. I think it's Wednesday and Thursday, or Thursday and Friday. Maybe it's Thursday and Friday. And then Saturday, Sunday is their marketplace. The market. Okay. So this target is lovely. It pulls off really nicely off the drum. A little bit stick in there, but not too much. Okay, before fluffing, this is what it looks like. Now I'm going to go fluff. And I'll keep talking off camera here. I have to move. I've had a little bit of debris. This is nicely textured. Definitely not giving me Atlantis vibes anymore, though. I think we're going to go something garden-like. And that center part, I can really feel that it's thicker. So I have to tease it out a little bit more. So the teasing is going to take me a little longer than usual. Oh, I'm I'm liking this a lot. Okay, here we go. That is, hello Denise, thank you. Okay, so if you would like to guess how much it weighs, it's not smaller than 2 ounces, it's not bigger than 4. So keep your guesses between that. So tear that out. And if you get closest, I'll give you little trophy emojis. And you can have bragging rights. Another pen out here. Piece of paper. Anyone wants to guess? Okay, what do we got? 2. Looks like Denise is closest so far. It is 2.94 ounces. There we go. Yeah. So if you have a name suggestion, certainly drop it in there. I do like the black on that. I can remember back, interior design shows, back when I had TV and I watched HGTV, there was one person who was, I don't remember who it was so long ago. So I was like, it's always nice to have something that has black in it in a room to give you that sort of that pop and gravitas and so forth. So we got a little bit of gravitas on that bat. So thank you very much for watching. I'll take some photos of these and post them up. Get back into the swing of post sale, off sale, and all that. I'm expecting to, as long as people have paid, I'm expecting to be able to mail things out tomorrow. Because the money has to be in my account to be able to mail it. But otherwise, they'll go out on Wednesday. But otherwise, I hope you're all having a great time. I'm going to go finish the rest. I'll probably stick my tea in the microwave, finish heating it up again, and finish off at least that caffeine. So then I'll go work on my album. Okay, take care, and I will see you around on Facebook.